Welcome, denizens of Dark City. Billy Shears will continue with his presentation of footnotes in the coming weeks. At the present juncture, it is necessary to apply what we have learned from the memoirs to a real-time event. Today, we're not just going to observe a spell being cast, we're going to intercept the broadcast signal in real time. A signal designed to manage your perception of a very recent, very real event. To reverse the curse, you must first learn to see the magician's trick.
We're building something here, Detective. All the pieces matter.
You have progressives who are funded by ActBlue, right? And I've proven this. We traced all their money. It's progressives funded by ActBlue who are pushing the same narrative that, like, Candace Owens and others are pushing on the idea of Charlie Kirk's death and the conspiracy around that.
They're absolutely being paid to push this?
Well, their stated mission, this particular progressive group, their stated mission was to take down TPUSA. I'll tell you a story. This is the tale of all tales.
Okay.
What can we learn from Billy Shears? In the memoirs of Billy Shears, the encoder taught us that the most powerful spells are cast not with wands, but with words. Spells designed to create a fool's world, a reality where the masses cheer for their own manipulation. The key to this magic isn't just the message itself, but the delivery system, the controlled broadcast that ensures the spell takes hold. In the last 24 hours, a highly anticipated podcast dropped in which questions surrounding the Kirk assassination were discussed. But if watched closely, this was not an interview, but a demonstration of communication tactics. In Dark City, we're not just interested in what happened, but how the story about what happened is constructed. This is a core element of what I call the occulted natural, the hidden systems of control that operate in plain sight. What this installment will examine is the same type of coded messaging and narrative management uncovered when decoding the memoirs of Billy Shears. There, the code was hidden in wordplay and acrostics here. It's hidden in the structure of a conversation. Watch how this plays out when Rogan asks about Israeli involvement.
Do you think there's any possibility that someone else killed him? Do you think there's any possibility that he was assassinated by Israel?
Well, when we're talking about possibility, almost anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
But there's not good evidence to support it, and there's probably pretty good evidence not to. So for instance, the guy was still very much of a pro-Israel guy, even up to death.
He raises the question, which is what many people are wondering. Wilson's response, I think there is a lot of evidence against it, is a perfect example. It's a bald assertion that ignores all public context, designed not to be debated, but to be accepted by authority. Distillation and oversimplification. Wilson takes Owens' nuanced position, which is based on raising questions about inconsistencies, pointing out motive, Kirk's changed stance on Israel, and highlighting the suspicious behavior of Erica Kirk, and distills it down to the most extreme, least defensible, and easily debunked claim possible.
What is her position? What does she think happened?
She thinks that Israel worked in conjunction with TPUSA and Erica Kirk to murder Charlie.
Based on what?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Nobody actually knows. She's never presented a single shred of evidence thus far that Israel ever worked to murder Kirk, that Erica Kirk certainly didn't.
She claims that Israel, TPUSA, and Erica Kirk conspired to assassinate Charlie Kirk. 2. The scripted handoff, Rogan's immediate, based on what?
Based on what?
Is the crucial second beat. It's not a genuine question of curiosity, it's the prompt. It's the magician's assistant handing him the locked box so he can pretend to unlock it. Rogan's role is to legitimize Wilson's framing by treating the strawman as if it were Owens' actual argument. 3. The prepackaged takedown. Wilson's response, that's just it. She hasn't provided any evidence to support this, is the grand finale. He's not addressing her actual points. He's attacking the phantom argument he just created. He makes it seem like the burden of proof is on Owens to prove a vast international conspiracy, when in reality the burden of proof is on the authorities to prove their laughably incompetent lone nut narrative. The ballistics question. Then there's the discussion of the 3006 round. Instead of addressing the specific forensic contradictions in the Kirk case, Wilson offers a hodgepodge of military history.
The 30-06 couldn't do this, even though the U.S. Army, remember, the 30-06 used in the M1 Grand was used in World War II, and then it was used in Korea. Before that, we had the 03 Springfield. It was used heavily in World War I, World War II, and again in Korea. The U.S. Army has studied 30-06 entry wounds in depth and produced many manuals on it explaining how cavitation works with 30-06 and that the bullet doesn't always penetrate. And that's with full metal jacket rounds that are designed for maximum penetration, not 150 grain core locked coming out of an antique rifle, essentially. It could easily split up very quickly.
Right. That is an important distinction about the type of bullet.
This is a classic diversion tactic. It makes the simple questions seem complicated and boring, encouraging the viewer to tune out.
So it's totally possible that this guy was hit with a 30-06. I don't know why that would be in the realm of impossibility. We have enough data on the ammo to know that, yeah, it's very possible this happened.
Finally, notice the ultimate misdirection. Wilson attributes the entire conspiracy to a coordinated campaign by foreign adversaries.
Now, the woman who heads this particular organization received millions of dollars from Act Blue and other progressive organizations for this stated mission. That same woman, right this second, works with other X accounts to push the messaging that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by his own TPUSA insiders.
This is a brilliant move. It takes the legitimate questions about Erica Kirk and TPUSA and reframes them as a foreign attack, discrediting them by association for his target audience. This interview is a perfect real-world example of what I refer to as a metafold. The surface narrative is a skeptical inquiry. The hidden narrative, visible only when you analyze the structure, is a damage control operation. It's a message that becomes clear when one assembles the independent pieces. Rogan's role, Wilson's role, the specific non-answers equals a deliberate attempt to manage perception. This isn't just about what they say, but how they say it. Let us break down the core elements of this operation. 1. Rogan's role as concerned skeptic.
But if he could have been a substantial roadblock to the Iraq war, or Iran war rather, if he was a substantial roadblock, I mean, that's not outside the realm of possibility that a nation state would take a guy like that out.
Rogan's demeanor is crucial. By pitching the very questions that conspiracy theorists have, he legitimizes them just enough for Wilson to debunk them. This is far more effective than ignoring the questions entirely. It creates a false sense of a thorough examination where the conclusion is predetermined. His softball approach, framing Candace Owens as someone who has painted herself into a weird corner where everything has to be a wild conspiracy, sets the stage for Wilson to dismiss all skepticism as pathological. 2. Wilson's role as technical debunker. Wilson's function is to overwhelm with non sequiturs and technical-sounding nonsense. His claim about 30-06 rounds is a perfect example. He offers a hodgepodge of so-called military history because the actual forensic evidence is catastrophic for the official narrative. The bullet fragment couldn't be matched to the rifle, and the wound itself is physically inconsistent with that caliber. Wilson's job isn't to prove the official story, but to create a cloud of expert doubt that makes the simple physical impossibilities seem complicated and debatable. 3. The Israel denial as a tell. Wilson's statement that I don't think there's any evidence to support Israel's involvement, and in fact I think there is a lot of evidence against it, is the most brazen part of the performance. Given the mountain of circumstantial evidence, Kirk's final text changing his pro-Israel stance, the presence of Israeli bodyguards, the complete reversal of TPUSA's policy under Erica Kirk, and the foreign intelligence connections, this claim is an act of pure, unadulterated gaslighting. It's designed to make anyone who has seen the evidence question their own sanity. Wilson's jargon, Rogan's framing, it's a form of linguistic sorcery designed to obscure, not clarify. It's the same difference between rich and wealthy discussed in earlier installments, but applied to a live event. Feeling confused or frustrated after watching that interview, that's the intended outcome. Your accurate perceptions are being manipulated, framed by the system to be seen as confusion or conspiracy thinking. This isn't a debate at all. It's a psychological operation dressed up as legitimate discourse. It was a masterclass in narrative management, disguised as a skeptical inquiry. The entire segment functioned as a controlled demolition of legitimate questions, using a formula of soft-pedaled objections from Rogan and prepackaged, jargon-filled dismissals from Wilson. So, when you see these managed skepticism interviews, don't get drawn into the details of their argument. Step back and analyze the structure. Who is playing what role? What are they trying to make you believe? The answer is usually in the dynamic, not the data. Billy Shears refers to this as masterful speaking. The most powerful thing you can do is recognize the pattern. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. This is how we begin to see the matrix of Dark City for what it is. If you want to see how these same principles of coded messaging and narrative control were applied on a global scale to transform an entire generation, Dark City's series Decoding, The Memoirs of Billy Shears lays it all bare. The methods are the same, the scale is just different. The Rogan interview was the containment phase, a broad, sweeping attempt to muddy the waters for a general audience, but the questions aren't going away, and when a narrative faces a more direct, more focused challenge, the tactics must escalate. The upcoming debate between Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens will not be a debate. It will be a different kind of broadcast entirely. Let us follow a playbook, so to speak. Based on the Rogan interview and standard psychological operation procedures, here are the likely tactics Wilson will employ. 1. The Gish Gallop of technicalities. Wilson will overwhelm Owens with a rapid-fire barrage of minute, unverifiable technical details, historical anecdotes, and jargon. The goal is to make it impossible for her to address every point, creating the appearance that she can't refute his evidence. 2. The patriotic misdirection. Wilson will frame any questioning of the official narrative as an attack on conservative values, TPUSA, or the movement itself. He will paint Owens as a divisive figure who is damaging the cause by asking uncomfortable questions, appealing to the audience's loyalty and desire for unity. The ad hominem preemption. He will attempt to define Owens before she can define herself. He'll label her as emotional, conspiratorial, or having painted herself into a corner. As Rogan did, this is designed to make the audience view her subsequent arguments through this preconceived negative lens. 4. The unfalsifiable claim. Wilson will introduce a central claim that cannot be proven or disproven in the context of the debate. For example, he might double down on the foreign bot theory, presenting it as the real intelligence that he can't fully disclose, but that exonerates everyone. This is a classic intelligence tactic of hiding the truth behind classified information. This tactic is so psychologically effective because it shifts the burden of proof. This is the key. Wilson should have to defend the official narrative. Instead, he flips the script and forces Owens, and by extension anyone who agrees with her, to defend a caricature of her position. It's a masterful diversion. It also creates cognitive dissonance. Viewers who are only half paying attention hear Owens claims no evidence, and their brain files it away as debunked. The actual nuance is lost in the simplified, emotionally resonant soundbite. It exhausts the opponent. The person being strawmanned is now in an impossible position. They have to waste their time saying, "No, that's not what I said," before they can even begin to address the real issues. By the time they've corrected the record, the audience is bored and the expert has already moved on. Here's the most insidious tactic of all, and it's a form of linguistic sorcery, so subtle, it's almost invisible. Wilson doesn't engage with Owens' actual questions. Instead, he performs a trick of perception. He takes her complex web of reasonable doubts and distills it down to a single, absurd claim. She claims that Israel and Erica Kirk conspired to assassinate Charlie Kirk. He is not debating her, he is debating a strawman. This is a classic technique of cognitive warfare. By forcing her to defend a position she never took, he makes her appear unreasonable and evasive, all while completely avoiding the mountain of evidence that contradicts the official story. This is the same principle as the wordplay in the memoirs of Billy Shears. A word can have two meanings, one for the uninitiated masses and another for those who know the code. Here, the debate has two meanings. For the casual viewer, it's a refutation of a conspiracy theory. For us, it's a demonstration of how to construct a fool's world by making people argue about things that were never said in the first place. To reverse the curse, you must first learn to spot the straw man. I predict Wilson to use a specific tactic against Owens that I refer to as the Semantic Clinch. This tactic is effective because it looks legitimate, but its purpose is purely destructive. Here's how it works. When an opponent begins presenting a piece of evidence or a line of reasoning that is genuinely damaging, the asset will interrupt. He will stop the debate to demand a semantic clarification or to establish a rule of conversation. It is important to be clear. Clarifying terms is important in a debate, but do not be fooled. That's not what this is. This is about interruption disguised as semantic clarity. Its abuse accomplishes two goals. First, it pauses the damaging line of reasoning before it can fully land with the audience. Second, it disrupts the viewer's ability to follow that logic. It breaks their concentration. Wilson relies on this tactic frequently, sometimes fairly and other times not so much. By the time Wilson's opponent is allowed to resume, the momentum is gone. The viewer has forgotten the initial point. Like a boxer's clinch, a weary fighter, getting pummeled, grabs his opponent to stop the fight, to catch his breath, to reset the terms of engagement. It's an insidious and highly effective tactic. Wilson will use it to prevent Owens from keeping him on track, from forcing him to answer the real questions. This is a form of the linguistic sorcery uncovered in the memoirs of Billy Shears. The Freemasons and other orders understand that communication is more than words. It's about tone, cadence, and interruption. They know how to use the mechanics of rhetoric to convey multiple layers of meaning, the surface meaning for the uninitiated, and the true meaning of the tactic for those who can see the game being played. It's not about the clarification, it's about the interruption. It's always about managing the audience's perception. These escalating tactics are straight from the playbook. It's the difference between the hidden messages in a Beatles song and the full-blown theatrical spectacle of a live performance. The goal is the same, to overwhelm your senses so you can't think clearly. In the memoirs, this was done with wordplay and symbolism. In the Wilson-Owens debate, it will be done with rhetorical pressure and emotional manipulation. The broadcast is changing the channel, but the encoder is still running the show. The most telling aspect of this operation is that there's nothing to legitimately debate. The procedural failures are so egregious and so comprehensive that they can only be explained by either criminal conspiracy or gross incompetence on a scale that defies belief. 4 basic questions need to be asked, and every police officer in America knows this. 1. Was the crime scene secured? 2. Was the transport vehicle secured into evidence? 3. Was the body preserved into evidence? 4. Were all articles of clothing, jewelry, phone, wallet, microphones he was holding or wearing, everything on the deceased preserved and entered into evidence? When the answers are all NO, as they clearly are in the Robinson case, we're not looking at incompetence, we're looking at a deliberate cover-up. Any police officer in America would face immediate termination for these failures, yet we're expected to believe these were standard procedures in a high-profile assassination case. Wilson's task isn't to win the debate on merits. It's to create enough confusion and doubt to prevent unified consensus that this was a cover-up. What we're witnessing is the application of controlled opposition deployed to manage perceptions when the official narrative becomes untenable. Wilson's role is to create the appearance of legitimate debate while actually performing damage control for a criminal conspiracy. The fact that TPUSA feels the need to deploy this tactic at all suggests they're concerned about public perception of the case. The more obvious the cover-up becomes, the more sophisticated the countermeasures they'll deploy. This podcast is just one of the many tentacles lurking in the depths of Dark City. Until next time, be the light in the darkness, and always remember.
And start asking the right fucking questions.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.